Okay, so I've just done a video in relation to the vaccines and in particular Moderna. Let's do one now in relation to other aspects of the health service in this country. So they were set up in 1948. The original three systems were established, in 1948. NHS Wales, GIG Cymru was founded in 1969 as part of the major social reforms following the Second World War. The founding principles were that services should be comprehensive, okay, and that the funding would be, you can read this yourself if you want, but it basically says that the funding would provide free health service to the general public. But of course, it isn't free. We should all realise that by now, first of all. It's great, don't get me wrong, if it's genuinely done correctly, but we're paying for it through our taxes, don't forget. Our council tax contributions pay towards the NHS. All of our other tax payments will, I'm sure, end up paying for some of this, but there's no way our taxes are being used in what we're being told, because you've got all of this fraud that I'm showing you. Anyway, that aside, let's look at NHS Confederation. Okay, they're obviously active. They were established in 2002. Now you'll notice, and there's a reason for this, a lot of these companies are after 2001. They were incorporated. You'll see why. Please remember that. So this is the incorporation documents. Now we're looking at people connected through to that company. Again, so you'll notice hopefully that... oh, there we go. Straight away, sorry, on the incorporation. So on the incorporation, we'll come to that later. For the incorporation for the Confederation of NHS, okay, is OYEZ Company Services. Okay, it's important that you remember that for later. Sorry about that, I just moved the screen. Okay, so remember OYEZ Company Services on the document. It's also, again, important to notice this has been written in afterwards. This is typed. Okay, but there's different wording, typing. You can see even this is different. This is different typo from this here. And this is different. This is written in. So this document has been constructed by 3 different methods. Okay, now obviously if it was legitimate and someone was incorporating a company, you'd write it all out in the same way. You'd send it to Company House and they'd put it on the register. This, I suspect, is a forged document. Now we're linking now, you can see NHS Confederation through to this person. Okay, and they're linked to Nuffield Health. Let's look at Nuffield Health. Again, as always, I urge you to go and look at this yourself. You can log on to the Companies House website, go and search these companies. Don't take my word for this. Go and look at it all yourself. They were incorporated in 1957, Nuffield Health. They were originally called, in 1957, Nuffield Nursing Homes Trust. Now look at the date change. This is important, just after 2001. Well, 2002 years after, but it's quite close to 2001. Name change. So this is their incorporation name, and here it is: Nuffield Homes Charitable Nursing Homes Charitable Trust. Well, that's not even the same. So again, you can see this is an element of the fraud. So even for the NHS, you've got a different incorporation document than what they're saying. Now, why would you do that? Someone has looked at this document, but decided to put a different name, even though it's the same year, I believe, 1957. Here we go. This is the fraud, people. We need to wake up with this. Okay, and at the bottom, importantly, Jordan and Sons. Remember, Jordan features very heavily in relation to this. And Jordan Limited is a false entity company. I suspect that Jordan & Sons is as well. Here's looking through again, linked to that person from the NHS Confederation. They're now linked to COVID-19 company. Go and look at this yourself. You can look back through this several times, you know, if it's confusing. Importantly, they dissolved 2023 in September. I started reporting my fraud in 2022 in September. These are the incorporation documents. Top of it, it's got the RCN Foundation. Okay, all linked to this company now, this. You've also got a company called Bates Wells. Okay, so that's the incorporation document for COVID-19. Let's look at the RCN Foundation. Now, they were incorporated in 2009. And yet here we are, they're on a document. So they were incorporated in 2009. Oh, no, that's fine, sorry. Back. So let's move forward. So RCN Foundation. These are now their incorporation documents. You can see RCN Foundation. And all I've done is screenshot this and scaled it into a document for you to see. And you can see on here, it's got the London Law Agency Limited on that document. Now, the London Law Agency Limited is very key to this. Obviously, it makes reference to law, as in police potentially, or solicitors, or some sort of legal connection. Now, that company, you will see in other videos, links through to Companies House itself, so Louise Smith and the research for her, but it also connects to many other companies very closely. Now let's look at the other company, Bates and Wells of Braithwaite. Remember, we had Bates and Wells on the top. Let's look at that company. That was on the other document. They were incorporated in 2007. Now they're registered as Bates, Wells and Braithwaite LLP. There's no other name on the bottom suggesting that was how they were incorporated, all right? You'd have the, hopefully you'll know this by now, you'd have the previous company names and the incorporation name at the bottom here, but there's none. Look at it yourself. But yet here's the incorporation document, completely different. Bates Wells LLP. But yet they're registered Bates Wells and Braithwaite London LLP. Why would they do that, people? Again, Cannon Street, regular address that crops up. You'll see this through them with my videos. Stephen Lloyd's link to that frequently pops up throughout this. I suspect he may not. I suggest Stephen gets in contact with me. Contact me, Stephen. Try and explain all of this to me if you're real. Same person. Remember, we're now back to the same person. So all we're doing, it looks confusing, but it's not. We're still coming from now the NHS Confederation Companies House page, and we're tabbing through the people. All right, so we're still on the same person, Victor, and I'm now looking at his other companies. So Turning Point was originally called Helping Hand Organisation Limited, in brackets the, but it's not. It's actually the Helping Hand Organisation Limited. Now that may seem petty, but this is a legal document, remember. So if it's not registered exactly the same, and Companies House will know this, if it's not registered exactly the same, it creates a chain of illegality, of unlawfulness with this company or with how it's registered. Okay? You'll see this a lot. They put the in the bracket at the end. Why would you do that? I know you can put the at the beginning because there's other companies with the. It's not a case they can't. Yet here we are, we've deliberately, they've looked at this form but decided to change its register. Again, you'll see on the bottom, the Solicitors Law Stationery Society Limited. Remember, that links back to Waterlow's. Here we are looking at the next company now with this same gentleman. Turning Point. This is just, I think it's the first or second person on the list. If you look into them all, you will find this going on with these companies right the way through. It's so huge. Turning Point Services Limited, Turning Point Services Limited. But I do suspect a lot of the people aren't even real on these registers. Now, they were given a name for 1 month. Not even a month. Look. Icefield Limited. From 17th of September 1987 to 14th of October 1987. Why would you name your company for such a short period of time? So this is looking at their incorporation documents. Now, this is really important because you've got a Nigel Leonard Blood, okay, of Temple Chambers, Temple Avenue, London. Now, I suspect it's fake, but when you look at him, and I urge you to look at it, he goes through to a company called the High Elm Movement, Hyelm. That movement is in relation back in, I think it was 1930s, I'll do a video on it, 1930s, and it was a movement to help the youth struggling with accommodation. Okay. But there's also connections through to Max Clifford, which means Operation U-Tree and sex offenders are also then linked to it, because as you know, Operation U-Tree, hopefully you'll know, Jimmy Savile was connected to that. I believe that Jeffrey Epstein, it's all going on, as you know, in the news at the moment. It all links back. Okay, look at him. If you don't believe me, type this person in. In fact, type in Hyelm, HYELM, and you'll see this person connected to that company. And you can see the lines are gone here. I suspect that's deliberate. These lines have all been altered and the name's just been put over here and changed, I suspect. And again, Temple, remember Temple. London Law Agency Limited. Temple Chambers. I suspect these documents are forged. There you go, same incorporation documents for the London Law Agency Limited. Now you've got to ask ourselves, if these people are involved in fraud, or these companies are linked to a fraudulent system, why are they handling vaccine? Why are they involved in vaccines? Because if they're going to commit fraud against the general public, they will do a lot more. And if they actually get rid of cash, there's nothing we can do to stop that system of crime, whether it be fraud, whether it be child paedophilia, whether it be drug trafficking, immigration problems, illegal wars. You can see where this all links in and how this is so serious. Let's look at another company now under Victor. So the Fulbright Foundation. Fulbright Foundation. Incorporated 2014. You can see they are linked to Battersea Power Station. For some reason, this company now links, and it's very closely linked to the NHS. Remember, only one, in fact, we're the same. We've got a person within the NHS Confederation which is now linked straight away through to these companies. So Battersea Power Station. You see, you've got the London Law Agency as well. If you look in under the HYELM company I've told you about, you'll see the London Law Agency is listed under the record with HYELM. This youth movement, accommodation for young people struggling, okay, linked through again to people that are known for paedophilia. Battersea Power Station. Here we go, so looking at their company's house record, documents, incorporation documents. You've got No Rose company linked to them. No Rose. Riverside, this crops up a lot. You'll see if you watch my other videos. Same addresses, even though there's millions, the same ones crop up. Here you go, Moorside, Riverside, sorry. No Rose, we're looking at them now. Drive Change, their incorporation name, from May to July 91, again, very short period of time. And here we are, they were started with, incorporated with Swift Incorporations Limited. You can see, look, if you remember, we looked at the other document, all the lines were on there on this one. The other one, the lines are gone. Recall that? I suspect this is a forged document. Jordan's and Sons is linked to them as well. Now let's look at Nightingale. Hopefully you remember during the pandemic, they set up, I believe it was 7 hospitals. Okay, emergency hospitals were set up, costing millions and millions of pounds. Taxpayers' money, remember. These are the articles in relation to it. They were never really used. Do you remember this? So in March 2021, okay, an article here from the HuffPost. What really happened in them, in the NHS, in the Nightingales? 2/3 of beds brought for the Nightingale hospitals were unfit for use. November 2023, this article. 9,000 beds and mattresses were bought at a cost to the NHS of 24 million. Hospital scandal exposed as hundreds of COVID Nightingale beds sold for just £6. 31st of August 2023. Why hasn't the NHS Nightingale Hospital in London taken off? Let's look at Nightingale. Nightingale Limited. They were incorporated in 1984. Their original name was called Scanplane Limited. You see it changed its name to Nightingale Ostomy. Let's look at the incorporation documents. Here is Scanplane. This name is the same name that features with Swift Incorporations Limited. In fact, I think that's the same name that is on the incorporation document for my company. Okay, but that name is not listed on Swift Incorporations anywhere. Okay, so I suspect, again, a fake name, a fictional name You'll see at the bottom, Jordans and Sons Limited. Oh my goodness. Jordans and Sons, this is another document that's linked to Jordans and Sons. Let's look at AstraZeneca UK Limited. This is all quite shocking, I know. I wish it wasn't true. This was incorporated in 1998. AstraZeneca UK had an original name, Letterplant Limited, then changed to AstraZeneca Limited, then changed to AstraZeneca Pharma Limited. This is the incorporation. You can see Letterplant Limited, Swift Incorporations, and Jordans Limited. I suspect this is forged because the box is too big, the lettering's different. I suspect that name has been entered after the incorporation to try and hide this. Jordans Limited, that's a non-entity, a legal company anyway. It shouldn't even be trading because the incorporation document hasn't been registered by Companies House. AstraZeneca Japan Limited, let's look at them. No surprise, Swift Incorporations, Jordans Limited. Again, this all links with the PPE scandals that we're seeing on the news all the time. Look at my video from Michelle Moan. You'll see Pedro Metro, I believe, is linked to this. AstraZeneca PLC. There's the actual public liability company. You can see they've got an original name. Let me just show you that though. Hakrenko, I believe. Hakplimco, sorry. Number 5. So all they're doing is they'll just change this number, this number in writing here, and just change that for the companies, and then dish out a load of companies. You can see they've changed the names a couple of times more. So you've got Hackwood Secretaries linked to it. Got Hackwood Secretaries, here we go, let's look at them. Hackwood Secretaries Limited. So what I'm trying to do is show you the evidential chain through all the documents and show you how far this is all going. Forged documents throughout, false registers throughout, they're false addresses because they're all the same addresses, a lot of them. If you look at my videos, there's not going to be connections with these companies with most of these addresses. It's just a whole corrupt system, and if it's crime, you can't lawfully pay your taxes to commit for someone else to commit crime. Okay, you can't do that. You're committing a crime by doing it. So all the people now that are paying the taxes are actually part of the problem. It's very easily resolved. I've told the government how to do it on the email. They're not obviously going to do it. I've had no reply from them. Linklaters and Paynes is linked through to Hackwood Secretaries, as you can see. That is a huge solicitors firms, I believe one of the biggest in the world as well, with Slaughter and May. They were incorporated in 1980, this particular Linklaters and Paynes. Their incorporation document is not available to view. I suspect that's deliberate. So now let's look at, now we move into a different subject for now, the Betsy Cadwallader Health Board fraud. I mentioned it in my previous video. Have a look at this yourself. £122 million went missing. It's taxpayers' money. Remember, this is our money that we're led to believe is being paid to facilitate society, but it appears as though it's going into the pockets, but not just that, in a criminal process. So a spokesperson said the NHS Counter Fraud Wales investigation connected to the Auditor General's qualified opinion of the Health Board's 2020 financial accounts has concluded and no further action is being taken. What? You've got forged bank documents. Let's look at Betsy Limited. They were incorporated again. Remember this, just after 2001. A key date, 2001. Here we go, 2002. Again, we've got Waterloo. Okay, and again, look, you can see this document is very clearly forged. Even the outside lines are missing. This has been added afterwards. See, it's linked Waterloo Legal. I won't go into that again, but you know how that all connects. Hopefully this is all making sense. So these are the incorporation documents for Betsy Limited, okay, where £122 million went missing, but they covered it up. Even you can, I suspect they've done all this to cover that up. You can see the forged documents here, and they would have seen this. Of course, they would. Waterloo Legal and Company Services. And there you go, you can see it's all part of the same incorporation documents. It's different typo. You can see it's all been added separately afterwards. So let's look at Pfizer Limited. And as you know, AstraZeneca produced vaccines, Pfizer, and we've already covered Moderna. And this is Pfizer now. So they were incorporated in 1953. And there was no other incorporation name according to this. And that's correct. It's got Pfizer Limited. So that's good. That's all checking out. At the bottom, however, the Solicitors Law Stationery Society Limited again. And also Linklaters and Paynes, which I think I mentioned. So when you type in, that's just the incorporation document again. You can see Solicitors Law Stationery Society. That brings up Waterloo. You can see the Solicitors Law Stationery Society there, but a different date. So these are earlier incorporated. So it can't be this company, but there's no trace of another. Now, their original, this is very important. I mentioned this a few times. Again, this is how it links in. Again, there's a link to sex offenders through this. And you'll see lots of MPs have been done for sex offences. But it's a massive problem, paedophilia and sexual offences at the moment. I could do a whole video on that. You've got to ask yourself, why aren't the government limiting the availability of very degrading pornographic material that children are able to see? First question, they're allowing that to still be available. You could easily prevent that from happening. Another important point to mention is Harriet Harman. If you look at the video yourself, type in Harriet Harman paedophile scandal, you will see articles in relation to her and the government, I would say, but she was a focus of attention in relation to it. And if you look at YouTube, she actually did a video, and it's quite clear that the government were trying to suggest that the age of consent should be considered to be lowered to 10. 10! And they also openly had an affiliation to paedophile companies through companies linked to MPs. And Harriet Harman, I believe, is still an MP. Unreal. Anyway, let's go back to this. I'm diverting a bit. I could do a whole video about it. So we're now looking at the incorporation documents for this. And the reason I was saying that is this company here, which is linked, as we've just said, this is now, we're looking at Waterloo Business Supplies, which, as we know, links in through the other documents. This name here is all over Max Clifford's company's documents. All over it. And here we are, it's also linked to the health service. Stephen Cox, again, frequently pops up. So you've got Stephen Cox Law Services Limited. That company, there's no trace of it when you search for it. Stephen Cox Limited, Law Services Limited, no trace. Okay, now looking at the London Law Agency. Now remember, this company, if you look at it, it links to a company called High Elm back in the 1930s. Have a look at it. I will mention this a bit more in videos. So this is now London Law Agency Limited. And you can see they haven't even been registered correctly because they've got a company that's not even listed under their records. So they should not be trading. So you can see you've got a whole chain. And remember, it means if the one that starts the companies isn't lawfully and legally trading and registered, that means any subsequent company that uses them to incorporate their companies is not a legal entity as well. The whole lot is crime. Jordans and Son Limited, there you go at the bottom, you can see Jordans and Son is linked to that company. So let's look at, remember, Linklaters and Paynes was on the bottom of some of those documents. Look back over this a couple of times. I know it's complicated. This again is a big law firm. This is just to confirm there's no trace of Ganvilon Motors Limited. But they do get deleted after 20 years, apparently, if they've dissolved. Linklaters and Paynes, okay? 1980. Through to that company, you've got this person, Paul Newcombe. You can see I've just searched Paul Newcombe. He links through to loads of Hack Remco companies. Now, you'll see that, again, all the way through the fraud. Look at all these. And all they do is they change this number in the bracket to create another company with a almost identical name. And Companies House own regulations or guidelines, I would say they should not create or allow the creation of two companies, and allow them to trade if they have two names that are too similar. And yet here we are, we've got companies with names that they just changed this number. And of course, if that's an 8, it look like a 6, it could look like a 9. Very easy to get the companies mixed up, and yet companies have allowed that to happen. Companies House have allowed that to happen. Back into Linklaters and Panes now, so I'm still looking in Linklaters and Panes, but now in the People tab, and I'm looking at people. You've got this person linked to them. They're linked to an oil company, and this overlaps with my other research, even though there's 5 million companies. Okay, so you have an oil company, and this links in as well now to Max Clifford, by the way. The research of Max Clifford. And then it goes into, I won't go through all of this, but it goes all through into energy companies. As we know, lots of money to be made through energy companies and oil. But if it's part of this fraudulent system, it is all a crime. Every bit of money we're paying into a criminal process, we are contributing to a crime. This was just to show all the other companies that are linked through that document. Okay, so you've got all these other energy companies are linked now, so that they all have a financial interest in each other, can move money, whether it be illegal or unlawful or lawfully obtained money. And this just shows that, again, I won't go into all of this, but there's companies that don't appear to exist. There's registration documents, incorporation documents that aren't registered. There's names that appear to be false. I won't go into all of this. You can pause this and look through it if you want. Now, back on the NHS incorporation document, the Confederation, remember we said there was OYEZ Company Services Limited. Okay, the only thing that comes up is this company when you search it. So this is on the NHS Confederation incorporation document. Okay, this company. They were incorporated in 1976. Originally called Yorkover Limited. They also had a company, so these are the incorporation documents for it. You can see Yorkover Limited. And they had Just and Company Limited on them. They also had David Stewart Hodgson. Now, David Stewart Hodgson, that name is on the incorporation document for Swift Incorporations Limited, which has started my company, remember? So they're using the same names all the way through this. Okay, there's a few of them, but you can say, and now I suspect they are false names, fake names. Okay, Just and Company Limited doesn't come up with anything. Now, when was this document? Yeah, there's no trace, but that could be, as we've said, dissolved companies don't generally stay on there for more than 20 years. So here we go, looking under OYEZ Professional Services. We've got, again, the same name. Remember, Max Clifford's documents, company documents, have this name all over it. Here it is again. Okay. And this is just to confirm with you. So this is the incorporation document for Swift Incorporations Limited. And Jordan's is on the bottom. You can see that the same names are on it. Okay, remember that name cropped up earlier as well, so you're using the same fake names, I suspect. Come and speak to me if this person's watching this. David Stewart Hodgson, get in contact with me, please. Explain this if you're real. Bates, Wells and Braithwaite, London. So we're now looking at, remember they were on the bottom of one of the documents. Now it links into Madeleine McCann. Okay? Madeleine McCann, if you watch my Madeleine McCann video, BWB number 2 Limited is a company linked through to the Madeleine McCann fund page. Okay, so it now links into Madeleine McCann. We've already got links to Nicola Bulley in this. We've got links to Madeleine McCann already, even though there's over 5 million registered companies. And you'll see now it also links in now because you've got Philip Duncan John links to this company. Let's go back so you understand. So Bates and Wells, okay? You've got this person. Martin Bunch linked to it. Martin Bunch. We're now looking in Martin Bunch. He's got 7 companies. BW Risk Assessment. You go into BW Risk Assessment. Look at this yourself. You've got this person, Philip Kirkpatrick. You're going to Philip Kirkpatrick. That's how it now links in with Madeleine McCann's fund page, even though there's 5 million companies, over 5 million. And it also links through into the London Law Secretarial Limited. Remember, that links to a youth project. Max Clifford, paedophile rings connected through to it. And now, Philip Duncan, remember that same person, now links through to this company, the Death Penalty Project Limited. And Keir Starmer, the head of the Labour Party, is linked to that company. Hopefully that will make sense. So we've got forged documents, MPs linked to very high-profile missing children, paedophile companies, affiliated paedophile companies linked through to this, linked through to the health service, all linked through together, fake details, fake addresses, fake documents, fake companies, fake incorporations, all crime, taxpayers' money being fed through this system. You've also got, look at my other videos, you've got weapons companies going to be linked to illegal wars, all very easily resolved. Hopefully that will make sense. God bless you all.